Busy little beaver over here. I gotta tell you, I got the new LD Moss Mobile figured out last night. I'm pretty excited about that. I feel like I had a new little baby. But we're not gonna talk about that. It's coming out here in a couple days. I gotta play with it for a little bit. We're gonna talk about Mr. Leon's little 66 or Sweet 16 here. Now he sent this up to me. He goes, BBI, I bought this thing off eBay. It's only doing about 400 watts. And can we get rid of them garbage DEI transistors? Can we put real Toshibas in it? And I said, dude, I can do that. He goes, now, the problem is the button switches are broken off on the front. He goes, I've gone and I found myself a replacement switch pack. Can you change it out? And I said, I can change it out as long as the switches are the same. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of trying to figure out how to unsolder all these pins. When Transistor builds these, they put the pins through the board, okay? Put the pins through the board, and then they float solder it. It's like they put it in an oven, and it's through-hole soldered on both sides. Each one of those pins. So the only way to change this is if you go and you take the whole the packet part, and then you take a Dremel and you cut the pins on both sides of the switches individually. So you cut this side, and then get the Dremel in there and cut this side, and that side, and this side, and that side. And you sit there and you pull out each one of the pins one at a time. Because remember, they're through board soldered. That means they're soldered on both sides and all the way through the board. You change that out, you get those out and don't tear up no traces now. And then you can go and replace it. Well, I was willing to take on that amount of work, but then I noticed that the switch mechanisms are different, and the switch style and the number of pins are different. I went, oh, shit. So this switch pack won't physically fit into that spot. And I thought, well, now what had happened is before he got it, this is the pin portion that fits into this plastic big body, right? So it slides in there and it's held underneath pressure. Well, it snapped off at that first groove. So there's still enough to hold the switch on, but not enough to hold it on securely. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll take this all apart and I'll change the pin mechanism, the actual physical plunger mechanism inside the switch. So I broke these all the way down and took them to where I could pull the plunger mechanism out. Had this all sitting over here in about 200 little pieces. Now when I took this all apart, the new plunger mechanisms that are in these are fixed on the inside of the unit in the way that these units are mounted down without you physically destroying the switch or cutting it out of the board. You can't change the switch out. So Leon, like I told Leon, I said, dude, this is not going to work. We can either have a really good looking box with functionality to it, and you're going to be really careful with your switches. So everything is working right now. And we epoxy glue the push bodies back onto these pins, or we can try and butcher it all, or we can find a new board. Well, Leon's opting to go find a new board, and I don't blame him. I'd rather change all these wires and try and tear all that apart. Now, that being said, this problem is overcome. We went in here and we put 8 matched Toshiba 2879s inside this box. And you'd be hard-pressed to tell me that I'd even been in here, because the solder work looks like it's straight from the factory. But brother, we changed out the transistors. You had one burned 10 ohm, which was down in here. I replaced it. And that's about all that we can do to it. He wanted to keep it as close to stock as we can. Now, Transistor has gone and added this Class C option here. So that's no longer a mod that we do anymore. And we got his voltmeter reading accurately on the front of this thing. Let's go ahead and turn this on for a second. Got all his LEDs working. This one was out, replaced it, and battery volts, relative field, relative RF. We're going to hit this thing today. Let's start around here. Let's go around the loop, you guys. It's going to be a 1,000 watt slug in PEP, 1,000 watt slug in average, 5 watt slug in reverse, We're going to use a Striker 955 with a 5-watt slug in between the amp and the radio. So we're going to hit this with 80 watts, and then we'll come back with the Connex 4400, which does about 125, and we'll hit it with that Connex, and that's how we're going to test it. So brother, you're working. We're going to run on 14.5 volts today. Let's see, we're on the 1x multiplier, so we're reading face value. Hello, audio. 80-90 watts is all we're going to swing into it. Turn the power on. We're going to operate in AB. Got our dial watt all the way open. 1 watt dead key. Gets you about a 25 watt carrier. Hello, off the scale, of course. Hello, off the scale. Click that up to 2x. So now it's reading like a 2000 watt slug. Between the 40 and 60, you see the big hash mark. That's 50, and that's 1000 watts. Hello, audio. 13 and some change with 80 watts of drive. Here's your input tune. Hello, got down. Now, I got to cover this one more time because it's not sinking into people's heads. The Striker does not put out dick for average power. So on that radio, running through any kind of amplifier, the average meter is not going to move very much. It's just not. But we're going to see the peak power. Everybody knows about that problem with the 955. Now when we go over here to the Connex, it will show us our average wattage reading. Or if we go to an old push-pull like the 66, it'll show us our average wattage reading, which is true and linear to that scale. And it has to do with that radio. Now I've covered this in no less than 12 other videos. I don't understand why other people have a hard time getting that in their head. I know it's the only thing that they can come at with what goes on my bench, but I'm covering it again just so we've got it out on Front Street. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. All right. Dial a watt function. Dial down a wattage. Dial up a wattage. Let's raise the dead key up a little bit on the radio. We're going to throw about a 400 watt carrier. There's our variable on the front. Down we go. Down we go. And now the variable's all the way at the bottom. Run this over in Class C. Turn the dial watt off. Run our dead key down on our radio again. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. All right. Shut this off. And now let's go over to the Connex. Now I have here from Truck CB Sales, my buddy Brian Smith, and I'll put his number and how to get a hold of him in the comments below. I have here yet another bird watt meter for my bench. And it's going to eventually go right here, right next to this one, with another 5-watt slug. It's sitting right here, actually. Coming soon to a theater near you. To go in between the Connex and whatever I have on the workbench so we can continue on doing our measurements. Stuff gets spendy, man. All right, so let's go over here and demonstrate drive once again. Back down on the 1000 watt scale. So it's that bottom scale plus a 0. Hello, audio. And you see how the meter on the right is reading half, or the meter on the left is reading half, the meter on the right. Now we got our average power back. Hello, audio. So we put about 120, 130 watts into this guy, and we're going to dead key just over a watt. Just over a watt of dead key. Turn this on. We're going to go back to the 2x scale. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. It's amazing how the pitch of your voice makes such a huge difference in the output power on average. So we're getting 600 watts average, and we're getting a 1500 watt full output or 1600 watt full output of this box on 14 volts. Remember, boys and girls, you can't take this over 16 volts ever. You'll end up popping up these caps on the inside. You'll pop that cap, these two. Just smoke some, poof, amp quit working. It's that simple. All your little bias caps will go because they're 16 volt caps. Now you can go and change these caps out, and then you put a regulator on a fan, you can go up in voltage. Until that day, forget it. Hello. Hello. It might get all the way open. I do. Audio. It's getting up there. And it's working. But brother, you're set. 8 match 2879s. Like I said, leave your finger on it when you push it in, when you let it out. That way it doesn't get that initial pop. Like I said, these are 2-part epoxied back on in there. And I don't see them things coming off. But if they do, that's the best we can do for you. I'm looking around. I'm trying to find somebody that I can buy a new replacement board for these units from. Just one more quiver to have in the little bag of tools that I've got. Leon, you're set, brother. You're right and tight, and the box is ready to rock and roll. I appreciate you sending it up and letting me give an opportunity to take a quick look at it. Let's see, I got 2 6-pill bases that are getting ready to come out. They'll probably be out tomorrow and tonight. And let's see, this weekend is 50-volt mobile LD MOS indestructible day. Yay! My name is BBI. Without a shadow of a doubt. I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. Come find me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, blah, 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 social media. Punch in BBI to get the phone book. I don't get to be here without you, all you guys. I don't get to do all this kick-ass stuff and get to work on this stuff without all of you believing in me and send up all these wonderful projects for me to get to work on. I'll see you, gentlemen. Thank you, Leon. Enjoy your new toy. Bye.